Ravens flock. The flock rundown is the place to be. My man Ryan has been a lifelong Ravens fan since he was born. So I'm telling you now, it's about to go down. The podcast, the flock rundown. Ravens, baby. Nothing gets better than waking up and wondering how high we can fly. Tune in.
Motionless brainwaves attempt to swim their way to sense, can't tame the untamed.
Appreciate you, Ray. What's up, Ravens fans? My name is Ryan, and welcome back to another episode of the Flock Rundown. The rookies have officially reported to training camp. The season is in full swing at this point. The veterans and the rest of the team report on July 26th. But since the rookies reported this week, I just wanted to go over this draft class and kind of what I'm expecting to see in the preseason and what I'm expecting and hoping to see from each rookie in the regular season. So first up, we obviously have Zay Flowers, wide receiver, Boston College. He was our first-round pick. Speedy, quick wide receiver, smaller guy, but physical. He sometimes he can remind you of Hollywood Brown, but he's way more physical. He's way better run after the catch. He's kind of looking for a little contact, and I think he's shiftier as well. He's got more acceleration, explosiveness than Hollywood. So Zay, I'm expecting to be involved. I'm expecting to be pretty involved in training camp, obviously. I think he's going to play quite a bit in the preseason because I don't know how much we're going to see Odell and Bateman. I don't think Bateman will play at all, to be honest with you. So I'm expecting Zay to be heavily involved in training camp in our passing game with the starters. He's going to be running with the starters. He's probably going to end up being our third receiver. I think he's going to get a lot of clock and a lot of opportunity with these starters. I think he'll run with the starters of the preseason. Now, that's not going to be our starting roster because I don't think Lamar is even going to play in the preseason, and I think he's going to show out. I think what we've seen on film is going to translate directly to the NFL. He's going to be fast. He's going to be a playmaker. We can move him all around the field. He can catch short, intermediate, and deep routes. So I think we're going to see all of that. I'm super excited for Zay, and he's definitely going to be the most involved rookie out of this class, as he should be. He's a first-round pick. Next up, we got Trenton Simpson, third-round pick from Clemson, linebacker. I think he'll run with the twos in training camp, and he'll probably play in the second, third quarters, maybe the whole game in the preseason. But we're going to see a lot of Trenton Simpson with the backups. He's going to be a backup to Patrick Queen and Roquan. I'm not expecting to see a ton of Trenton Simpson this season. I think we will see a ton of Trenton Simpson if Patrick Queen doesn't come back to the Ravens. Or if we don't get an extension done this season, then Trenton Simpson's going to play quite a bit starting next year. If we keep Queen, then I think Trenton Simpson's kind of a rotational guy, backup for a year or two. I think he'll play more and more as the seasons go. I definitely love what I see from him. I mean, he's a versatile player. He brings a lot of speed to the linebacker position. I'm high on Trenton Simpson. I just don't see room for him to be playing a lot, especially this year. So I think this year we'll see a lot of him in the preseason. And I think we'll see him making some plays, but I don't think that he'll be playing much in the regular season outside of just rotational depth. I think he'll get some opportunity this year in small situational moments if they need his speed for something, just to blitz the quarterback, whatever it is. I think it'll be situational, rotational moments, but he's going to be a backup. So we're going to see the majority of Trenton Simpson most likely in the preseason. And all these guys are going to play quite a bit in the preseason, which I'm always super excited about. That's why I still love the preseason a lot. I know it doesn't count, and your average fan doesn't like it, but that's the only time that we really get to see the depth of the team play a lot. You get to really get a lot of film on these depth guys because other than that, they're not going to get – because in the regular season, they don't get a ton of clock. They'll only come in a couple plays here and there, and you could see tiny flashes, but, like, what about for 2-3 quarters? Do they get better if they make a few mistakes, or are they in their head? Or, like, how do they listen to a coach? How do they adapt? What kind of fire do they have? What kind of stamina do they have? I mean, there's so many things you get to evaluate when you're watching them for quarters. instead of just a few moments in a game. So I love the preseason for that, and all these guys are going to play a lot in the preseason. But Trenton Simpson, I don't think is going to play a ton in the regular season. But if there's any injuries to Queen or Roquan or anything like that, he could step up into a role faster. I just think with Patrick Queen and Roquan barely coming off the field, there's not going to be a ton of opportunity for Trenton Simpson to come in. So he'll kind of maybe assist Tyus Bowser on some rushes or something here and there. I think he'll just kind of be thrown into a rotation just because he is so fast. So they'll use him for sure. And I think he might play more than some of these other rookies. But I just don't see him having a premier role like a Zay Flowers is going to have. Next up, Tavius Robinson. We drafted him in the 4th round from Ole Miss. He's an edge. Taller edge guy. I turned on his college film when we drafted him, and I like his game. I think he's going to provide solid edge depth for us. I love his height, but I don't think he's going to play much. I think he'll play a lot in the preseason for sure. Just like all these guys are going to play a lot in the preseason. He's definitely going to be running with the 2s or 3s in training camp. He's not going to be with the starters. He's an edge depth guy right now. But we'll see a lot of him in the preseason. We'll have a better idea of where he's at. But I definitely think he's a future stash play. I don't think we see a lot of him in the regular season. As long as there's not a lot of injuries at edge, we look like we're going to add a couple more veteran edge guys. That's only going to lower his chances of getting on the field. So I don't think we see a ton of Tavius Robinson this year if we're healthy. But he's a future play. I could see him in a couple years playing a way more important role, playing as much as, a Matabuke or somebody plays. So he's going to get a lot more clock. I like his game. I think he's a great future play. I think he's a good draft pick, but we'll know a lot more in the preseason. Next up, 5th round pick, Caillou Blue Kelly from Stanford, cornerback. I like his game a lot. I don't think he plays a ton this year, but he easily could earn a spot if he's that dude. If he comes into training camp and in the preseason is making splash play after splash play, he could easily leap a Jalen Armour-Davis on this roster. Or if Pepe's not completely healthy, he could leap a Pepe and get some solid playing time this year. That's up to him. I don't know if he's going to do that. I would guess that he most likely isn't, just because we usually don't see a ton of rookie corners having a pivotal role. But Pepe Williams and Jalen Armour-Davis were kind of tossed into the fire last year. So and I didn't love what I saw from Jalen Armour-Davis, to be honest with you. So if Jalen Armour-Davis doesn't pan out, let's say he doesn't take a leap, maybe Pepe has some injury concerns. Well, Caillou Blue Kelly, as it stands right now, would be kind of tossed into the fire. So we'll see how that goes. But as of right now, I think he's behind those guys. And I think Pepe's definitely ahead of him. He's going to get a lot more play. We still got a Brandon Stevens. I know he's like a hybrid corner, safety, whatever you want to call him. But we got a couple guys ahead of Caillou Blue Kelly, but he could get some playing time this year. I think he could play more than a Tavius Robinson could. I think, or even maybe Trenton Simpson a little bit. I think Caillou Blue Kelly, if he's up for it, if he shows the coaches that he can handle it, could potentially play a little bit more than he should maybe as a 5th round pick. But I think we'll sign another corner as well. I think that that move is to be made still. So if we do bring in a veteran corner, he's just going to kind of get pushed down the roster a little bit more, and we won't see him as much during the regular season, which is okay. As a 5th round cornerback, I don't mind you not starting your first year. You're not, you don't need a ton of playing time in the regular season if there's quality players above you. Just learn, get familiar with the system, the defense, with being a professional. So that's super important. But if he's thrown in the fire, we're going to see real fast what he's made of. And I don't necessarily mind that either. I just hope we're not in that position. I think that's why I'm saying that I don't think he's going to play a lot in the regular season, but we should see a ton of him in the preseason. And depending on who's available for training camp, if Jalen Armour-Davis and Pepe Williams are healthy, because they missed minicamp, so if they're back for training camp, then we won't see as much Caillou Blue Kelly in training camp running with ones at all either. But if they're not there, we could see him kind of tossed in training camp and the preseason with the starters. Next up, we got 6th round pick Aumavae-Laulu. I think I got the last name right. He's a tackle from Oregon. They said that they were moving him into some left guard as well. Harbaugh wanted to see what they had. I think he's in the mix. I think that he'll be a backup lineman. I don't think he's going to win the starting job, but I want to see what he has. I want to see how he holds up at guard because we do have a left guard opening. Seems like Ben Cleveland year after year doesn't want to take the spot for whatever reason. He's not showing enough to be like, I'm the guy, which is unfortunate because when we drafted him, I looked at his size and his ability and his plays at Georgia, and I was like, this is our future guard. But I'm waiting and waiting year after year for him to take that position, and I'm just kind of always disappointed. So I'm hoping he can step up and be that guy that we drafted him for a couple years ago, but my confidence is not super high. And early reports say John Simpson's the leader of the guard fight. So we'll see. I don't think Laulu's going to win it. I think that they were just kind of trying him out there. But he's a versatile lineman. I think he's got a lot of fight in him. I like his attitude. And I think that he'll be a backup this year, but he's definitely going to be one of those guys that in year 2, 3, 4, we start seeing him play a lot more. And I think he could be a future starting guard for us. I think Zeitler ages out in a couple years. We're going to need a replacement for him. So he could start at guard. He could be he could help back up a tackle if there's an injury or anything. So I like Laulu a lot, and we'll see more and more of him as the years go. Last pick was Andrew Voorhees, 7th round guard out of USC. He's a guy who tore his ACL, still did the bench press. I think he's an absolute dog, but Voorhees is not going to play this year. I don't see him playing at all. He's definitely on a red shirt year, essentially, and we will start to see him next year. But he could be a starting guard for us in the future as well. We were just talking about Laulu and what we like from him. He's a little bit more proven in college. His tape looks better. He was projected to be a lot higher of a pick. He just tore his ACL, so that obviously hurts you. But the Ravens are smart. You know, they're like, we don't need for him to play this year. Let's draft him, stash him, and now we have a future potential starting guard. And I think Voorhees is a pure guard. He probably has an edge on Laulu in the future down the road to start. But we'll see. That'll be a nice battle. We'll see who comes out of that. But I do love Laulu and Voorhees as these late 6th, 7th round picks as kind of future plays, you know, and that's usually what those picks are anyway. But I don't think we need much from them at all this year. But we'll see Laulu in the preseason. We will not see Voorhees in the preseason. We're probably not going to see him at all this year. He'll be a name that we're talking about next year. That's like an addition to the team. He's going to be like, oh, wow, we got this solid young guard with a ton of potential next year coming to the Ravens. So that's the rookie class. That's kind of what I'm expecting to kind of see from each guy this year. That could change in the preseason. I'm probably going to have slightly different opinions when we get some more tape. But I just kind of wanted to go over the rookie class again and where I see each guy slotted in and how much I think they're going to play in the preseason and in the regular season. Rookies have officially reported to training camp this week. They're in the building. The rest of the team comes next week, July 26th, and we're in the full swing of things. Full roster's expected to report. I don't know if there's going to be some sit-outs due to health. Maybe Rashad Bateman, maybe one of the corners. Is J.K. Dobbins going to hold out or not? The running back situation's crazy right now, so there's a few things to keep an eye on early, first day of training camp. As always, guys, I appreciate you tuning in to another episode of the Flock Rundown. Have a beautiful rest of your day, and I'll talk to you guys next time.
Motionless brainwaves attempt to swim their way to sense, can't tame the untamed.